So today's review is a pretty unique fragrance. This is Vetyver Cedre from Chantecaille. So this is obviously a French fragrance. It is specifically a vetiver cedar fragrance, and the cedar specifically is why I'm excited to try it, because cedar is one of my favorite notes. So this is, I imagine, a very natural smelling foresty sort of fragrance. It's a men's fragrance that came out in 2019, so it's pretty modern. I'll put some on. Okay, so yeah, definitely, okay, before the cedar, there's the vetiver. That's definitely the first note that comes out. Vetiver is a very kind of dried, grassy, kind of a rustic sort of smell. And there's almost a certain smokiness to it. It's not a smoky fragrance, but there is a certain smoky, rustic nature to this. So, the top notes, there's a few: nutmeg, bergamot, pink pepper, grapefruit, and juniper. So, I'm a big fan of all of those notes, to be honest. And the thing about the juniper, first of all, is that I've mentioned this in a few other videos for fragrances that have juniper. Juniper is such a fresh fragrance, foresty, green, fresh fragrance. And it's kind of similar to pine needles, just pine in general, but fresher. Then you got these two citrus notes, the grapefruit and the bergamot. So I do definitely get the citrus, both of them. They're kind of tucked under some of those other notes though, so it's a bit faint. It's not like a big burst of citrus, but it is still there. You just still get this kind of distant citrus note, which is very nice. It adds to the freshness of the juniper. Then the pink pepper and the nutmeg, naturally those are very strong notes, so those stand out right away. And because like I said the vetiver is immediately apparent, but besides that, I would say the pink pepper and the nutmeg also are very, very strong here in the opening. The nutmeg more than the pink pepper. You know, when you smell nutmeg, when you make like gingerbread cookies or something, you bring out the little casket of nutmeg, and it's such a potent, spicy note. Not like a hot spicy, but more of a warmness, a warm, cozy, spicy note. Then, there's three middle notes: cedar, of course, geranium, and iris. So, if you watch my previous videos, you know I have a soft spot for iris in particular. But besides that, the cedar mixed with the floral notes, the geranium and the iris, such a good mixture, because cedar obviously is the kind of the heart of this whole fragrance. And cedar as a note, a wood note, is kind of more of a heavier sort of scent, a little bit dry, woodsy obviously, natural. And mixing that with the sweetness of the florals really balances it out, so it's not too heavy, too rustic. The florals give it a slight bit of sweetness, but it's a very natural type of sweetness. It keeps everything balanced. It's very, very nice, very smooth. Then, the base notes are patchouli, benzoin, and vetiver, and musk. So, I would say, obviously the vetiver note is very strong, but the patchouli is there. It's kind of faint, but you definitely get it, especially once it starts drying down on the skin. It warms up a little bit, then the patchouli starts washing in. Then, the benzoin you could definitely get as well. Benzoin is very nice, kind of resiny, balsamic, kind of thick resin sort of thing. But kind of similar to amber with its warmth and kind of texture. So that's very nice as well. It really complements the patchouli. The vetiver obviously is paired with the cedar for this fragrance, and adds a very kind of dried, grassy, kind of breezy even, yet warm fragrance. Then the musk, I would say, is probably the lightest note on the whole list. It's I wouldn't describe this as musky. It's not animalistic. It's not what you would typically describe as musk. It is definitely a heavy fragrance. It's just not really that musky. It has more of a natural, woodsy sort of fragrance. So those are the main notes. The longevity and the general performance, I would say this probably lasts a good 6 to 7, maybe 6 hours. It's heavier than your typical fragrance, but not super heavy, very moderate. Then I would say when and where to wear it. This is a very versatile fragrance, just based off of all its notes. It has the citrus, it has the wood notes, it has the florals, you know. So it is very versatile. I would say this could easily work as well in hot weather as well as cold weather, so there's no discrepancy there. And I would also say you could probably easily wear this for formal occasions as well as casual occasions, because it is so versatile. It's pretty much an all-purpose sort of fragrance. Like when I smell it, I could picture anyone wearing this anytime, anywhere. It's just kind of good for everything. I like that it's noticeable, because, you know, sometimes these more kind of natural-oriented, you know, woodsy or grassy sort of fragrances, they're often kind of weak. This one is definitely much stronger, and I think that's probably from the mixture of like the nutmeg spices, the cedar and the vetiver, things like that, the benzoin to kind of ground it. So all those are coming in to kind of really anchor this fragrance so it doesn't go anywhere for the rest of the day. And that, of course, is a big bonus, because when you buy something like this, you want it to last for at least a little while, you know, hopefully the majority of the day, so you don't have to keep reapplying it. But this is definitely a very high quality fragrance. This is something you can rely on, something that's very nice. It's a nice mix between refreshing and warm, which is a hard thing to pull off because obviously they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. But in the beginning, like I said, you get these really fresh kind of citrus notes, and then some of the florals like the iris. Then you get some of the warmer notes like the cedar, benzoin, musk, and things like that. So it is a very nice mixture, well-crafted fragrance. But that's my thoughts basically for this particular fragrance. If you have any opinions about this particular fragrance, you can always leave those down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.